I would like to send a huge thank you to the leadership of Jesus to the Nation who made the hard decision to cancel this year's gathering because of the COVID virus. And by the way, it has also made an excellent time for us to do these little videos. My name is Randy Stanton. I'm with Canadian Baptist Ministries and I'm the regional representative for Atlantic Canada. We are CBM and SENT is our short-term mission side, and it's open to all people, to all churches, and all denominations interested in helping to grow partnerships around the world. We are eager to help churches engage in meaningful mission that changes people, that changes churches at home and abroad, and answers God's call to go into the great world around us. Adrian Gardner, who is leading the SENT team program, explains it this way. We are on a mission from the time we first meet Jesus until we meet him in person. We are sent people who are called to live a life of mission. An international SENT trip can be a part of this lifelong journey. We see it in three parts. First, participants receive training on biblical and cultural intelligence. Second, they are sent to the field to serve, learn, grow alongside local communities and churches. Third, they are sent back, returning to the home church to continue their work of mission. You can read more about this at www.cbmin.org, CB Ministries or CBMin. But let me expand a little bit on the second point, serve. We often think that a short-term mission trip is about going and solving a problem, fixing something. That's certainly the situation when we're in an emergency setting where we might show up with all kinds of materials and workers to build a building or to help reconstruct after a disaster. But for the most part, these short-term mission trips that we do revolve working with partners who already have mission well in hand, are doing programming that is changing the world where they are. Our opportunity is to come alongside and encourage the ministries that are going on, the churches and the people, and it's also there to help us to bring that little extra emphasis, that little extra boost to a ministry that's going on. The second thing that we want to do is learn. When we're away on a short-term mission trip, we learn a lot. We learn about ourselves, what we can do, what we can't do. We learn how to depend on others. We learn about our partners and the work of God that God is doing in the way that it intersects in all different forms. Finally, we learn how to grow what we grow. We are very conscientious. If we decide to go on a short-term mission trip, we're not going to check in a box or to go on a little vacation with some work added to it. We're going out there because we know that we need to be growing in God's work and we need to be growing in our spiritual lives. And so this is an excellent opportunity for us to grow. We observe, we see, we are challenged, we push ourselves, and we learn about the other. Spiritual growth is an absolute given. We started with the learning about the trip and where we're going. We continue during the actual trip itself with our devotions, and then when it's over with, we do our debriefs, and we learn throughout what God is doing in our lives. It's interesting what's happened lately. We've had a few trips go out, and people are coming back, and they're realizing that God has a purpose and a plan for their lives. One particular trip went out a while back, and the woman that I'm thinking of, she was so excited about the trip. She had been looking forward to a mission trip for a long time. No idea why she wanted to go so badly, just as she did. And she was out there. We put her to work, and of course she enjoyed a whole lot of things. She spoke at a local church, and things were happening. Her leadership came through very strong. Suddenly she realized that she was being called by God to become a minister. Now she kind of knew that in the back of her mind, but she had no idea that it was so firm. And when she told her team members, they just kind of laughed at her. It was actually quite a humorous time. They said, well, of course you're being called to be a pastor. We've known this all along. She was just so well rounded in her spiritual life and needed to hear God's word and to hear God's calling. And that's what she did on the trip. So lots of interesting things happen like that. One of the ministries, the largest ministries of a short-term mission trip is that of encouragement. And I wanted to underline this with another story. One of our teams was out, they were doing latrines. They were building latrines in El Salvador. Great ministry. In small villages, sanitation is a huge issue. And so you can only imagine how helpful latrines being built would be. So working with the local community, working with the local churches, and working with a group that does this, we were putting up latrines. And one of the women who was on that particular trip was so excited. She was going down to build latrines. That was what her job was. That's what she wanted to do, was build latrines. And she built them, and she built them. And she was so enthusiastic that other people started to help with it as well. It was just a really good time. And so in the midst of all of that, latrine building happened, but towards the end of the 2 weeks, she was feeling not totally connected, and she wasn't feeling close to God, and she was just struggling a bit. She didn't know if what she was doing was really what she was supposed to be. And so one of the pastors, they went to a church service. The pastor preached up a storm. It was a great passage, a great service. And she was moved, but that wasn't it. After the service, the pastor came to her and said, I've never been sure what to do with short-term mission teams. You come down and you help us and stuff, but I'm not sure what it's about. And then he said, but today I got it. He said, you've come from Canada. You've flown down, you've put a lot of money into this, and you've come and worked among my people. You've worked right beside us. You came into a country that is dangerous, that is poor, that is unstable, and yet you came. And I needed to be encouraged to know that Christians around the world are still thinking about us, still praying for us, and still loving us. And he said, I think short-term mission teams is about encouragement. And that broke her heart. And when she shared that with the congregation, they were just so moved, because that's what we realized we need to be doing. So some of the stories that are happening on short-term mission teams, sent teams. So I'd like to again to challenge you, to thank you for all that you're doing. You can check us out at cbmen.org, and or you can go to Be Sent, www.besent, and to get some more information on it. So thank you so much for being sent.